Hello and welcome to Downriver Rescue Connection. I'm your host, Patty Radikovich, and it is my privilege to bring you information on animal-related topics in the animal rescue community. Today we are at the Trenton Woodhaven Animal Shelter and we are going to be speaking with ACO Laura Jensen. So thank you so much for joining us for this show.
Thank you for allowing me to be here.
Great. So the Trenton Woodhaven Animal Shelter is obviously for the cities of Trenton and Woodhaven.
Correct.
And the collaboration has been going on for quite some time.
Yes. This shelter currently has been here for 8 years. We did have a very small shelter back in Trenton for many years prior to this, but with a wonderful conglomeration between the two cities and a couple of rescue groups, we were able to build this shelter to benefit the animals from both cities.
Yes, and that's great. And if anybody remembers the old shelter, which was out by the Trenton Channel Detroit Edison plant.
It was the equivalent of a small garage.
Yes, and this is a much improvement and it's a very nice facility here. And we're actually going to be going in the back a little bit later in the show and show you some of the adoptable cats that are there.
Good.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about just for the cities, for the Trenton and Woodhaven. Some people don't necessarily understand the licensing requirements, and I know that's often a big problem.
Right. Licensing is not only a city requirement, it's a state requirement. So if you live in one city and let's say you move to another city, that license does not carry over to your new city. You have to purchase a license within that city or that county in order for your dog or cat, which people don't realize also have to be licensed, for them to be legitimate. The City of Trenton has just changed their policy. They used to run from July to July. This year they are going to offer an 18-month license which goes from July 1st of this year to December 31st of 2014. It's an 18-month license. It's a little higher in cost. I think they've increased the cost by $2 or $3. But this way, come January of 2015, then it'll be a yearly licensing just like the City of Woodhaven, so people won't have to remember, oh, it's July 1st, it's December 31st. It'll be calendar year, which will be a lot easier.
Yes, so that way it will help people remember.
It will greatly.
And I think that's one of the points that they wanted to bring across is a lot of people don't realize that you have to license your cats as well. People usually know about dogs, but they're not always clear about the cats.
No, because they have the same requirements. They must have their rabies vaccine, and if in fact your cat is allowed outside, which we don't recommend, but if it is allowed outside, it must wear its collar with its tag attached to it.
Okay, great. All right, so can you tell us a little bit about the day in the life of an ACO? What is your typical day like when you're on the job? What types of calls do you answer?
It's a very busy day. We at the shelter here, my partner, Officer Swayze, and I work from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., Monday through Friday. Typical mornings consist of answering phone calls that may have come in overnight, and then the process of cleaning begins. There are state rules that all shelters have to be governed by, which means there's certain cleaning procedures that have to be followed on a daily basis. All the animals receive clean kennels, they receive clean bedding. So sometimes, depending upon the number of animals we have, it could be anywhere from a 1-hour process to a 4-hour process. Once that's completed, then we may go out and set live traps that people have requested for nuisance wildlife. We may respond to any kind of lost dog or cat found or stray animal. Every day is different. It's just, you never know what you're going to face when you come in.
Right. Now, so speaking of, you had mentioned cleaning. Now, do you have volunteers that help you?
We do. We do have a volunteer program here, and that's one thing that we definitely rely a great deal on them for, simply due to the fact that if one of the officers gets called out to respond to a call, we rely on the volunteers to be able to stay here, pick up the slack, and be able to clean and get everybody back into their kennels on a timely basis. We also have a volunteer program where we would like to have people come in, do fundraisers for us, whether it's collecting bottles, whether it's selling something. We had one very nice young lady who did a candle fundraiser for us, which was beneficial to us. we also would like volunteers to be able to come in, take one of our adoptable animals, and transport them to either the Trenton or Woodhaven council meetings, because both of the council meetings are seen on cable, and this would get a little more exposure to the animal. A lot of people don't realize here at the shelter that we do have adoptable animals, and any little bit will help as far as getting them their forever homes.
Right, a lot of exposure helps. So if somebody
Yes.
wanted to volunteer, how would they go about starting the process?
We have a packet here. They're welcome to stop by during our regular hours. Even though we are on duty from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., we have dedicated times that we are here, 8 to 9 in the morning, 2 to 3 in the afternoon, and then 5 to 6 in the evening. We are here more than that, but by posting those hours, people know that that's when we are going to be here in the shelter, whether it's to come look for an adoptable animal or to pick up a volunteer packet. We have the packet here. They can take it home, fill it out, drop it back to us. There is a background check done on all of the volunteers, and once they clear the background check, then we set up 2 dates for them to come in and kind of do a walkthrough, a training, make sure that it's really something that they want to take on. It's an emotional toll on some of our volunteers because they don't realize how attached they get to the animals. But once they come in, then they can either walk a dog, they can clean a cage, they can, brush a cat, whatever they are comfortable with. We never allow them to be put in harm's way. We make sure that the animals that they do handle or are exposed to are safe and healthy pets.
Great. Okay, so we were talking previously about how recently you've seen an increase in the number of owner surrenders being brought to the shelter.
Yes, unfortunately. We have situations where unfortunately people are losing their homes, they're losing their jobs, they're barely able to take care of themselves, let alone their pets. So unfortunately they're having to surrender them to us, and it's a heart-wrenching situation because you can tell that these people really don't want to have to give up their pets, and this is their last resort.
Right.
We do charge an owner surrender fee. We only take animals from our 2 cities because unfortunately some of our surrounding cities don't have animal shelters or animal control, so they're kind of a stalemate as to what to do with their animals.
Right. And so one of the things that why I wanted to bring this up was because the shelter has graciously allowed Basil's Buddies to host our pet food bank here, and we've been doing that for a number of years.
Yes.
And our pet food bank is open once a month. You can find the information on the Basil's Buddies website. But we have the food bank program to allow people who have lost their jobs and don't want to give up their pets. This is another option for you. So you can come, for low-income, unemployed individuals, you can come fill out an application with us and we can provide food for you so that you can keep your pets. And I know that the shelter also has a low-cost vaccine clinic that's once a year that's held at the end of April.
Yes.
To help people who can't afford to go to a regular vet, but still want to do the best they can for their pets. And if they happen to miss that one, Basil's Buddies also has a low-cost vaccine clinic that we can help people out.
Yes.
So, we don't want, and the ACOs don't want people to surrender their animals either.
No.
And so we're all doing the best that we can to try to help you, the public, to help you keep your pets as long as you can until you get back on your feet. So one of the things I know you wanted to discuss is wildlife.
Right.
And we had a whole show about wildlife, so if you haven't seen it yet, go back and check on our YouTube page and check out our wildlife show about what to do if you find baby bunnies in your yard.
Correct.
That's one of the most of the phone calls that you get.
Yes.
So tell us a little about that.
A great deal, and especially right now, late spring, early summer, many people see baby bunnies in their lawn or in their yard someplace, and their first response is, "Oh, I have to save them." That's actually the worst thing that you can possibly do. The survival rate of a wild bunny in domestic holding is slim to none. The fact is, you may see a clutch of bunnies and you don't see the parents, and you're thinking, oh, they're abandoned. A mother rabbit only comes back to the nest twice a day, once in the morning and once at night. If you are uncertain as to whether or not, let's say, there is a mother rabbit around, your best bet is to gently place maybe a stick or two over the top of the nest. That way the next day when you check, if those sticks have been moved, then you know the mom is still in the area. They don't feed them, let's say like a mom cat or a puppies, you know, and dogs, that type of thing. They venture out all day long and the babies stay in the nest. It's a fallacy as far as touching them. The mother will come back if you touch them, but what we try to drive hard to everyone that calls is just to leave them alone. They are very, very fragile. And if you can just leave them alone, if they're in your yard and you, let's say you have a dog, either take your dog out on a leash or take your dog into, let's say, your front yard, that type of thing. If you have a lawn service, make them aware of where the rabbits are. Maybe put a little box over it, propped up so the mom can come and go as needed. Simply protect them, but please, please just leave them alone.
Yeah, and that's one message that we try to get across in the wildlife show. And again, you're hearing it again from an ACO that gets calls all the time about the baby bunnies. And the best thing to do is just leave them alone. Nature has an excellent way of taking care of itself.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
So another wildlife problem that's common in Trenton and Woodhaven, which people wouldn't think is a problem, is coyotes.
Yes,
So
yes.
talk a little bit about that.
We receive multiple calls a year on coyotes. Both cities, we know for a fact, we've seen them ourselves. We know that there are a couple of different families in the area. Coyotes are not governed by animal control. They are governed and protected by DNR. It is not something that we can set a trap for. It's not something that we can go after and try to hunt down by any means. If you see a coyote, your best bet naturally is to leave it alone. If they start to venture onto your property, let's say you have a bird feeder, the coyote is going to be attracted to the bird feeder simply because there are small animals that are going to feed at that bird feeder. You've got rabbits, you've got squirrels, you've got rabbits, bunnies, possums, anything like that. You've got a cat that will come to also go after the birds that are in your bird feeder. A coyote is going to do the same thing. They're going to lurk around the outside of your property looking for a smaller animal, and if in fact you see that, your best bet is to make as much noise as possible. We suggest getting like an air horn, something that will startle them. If you see one that is very badly injured, or let's say you can tell they have mange, then we suggest you contact DNR because they are the only ones that lawfully can handle that case.
Okay, great, and that's good information to know. And a lot of people, sometimes they think that the coyote is actually a big giant dog from the distance.
No, by no
not.
means, no. But we have had situations where they have started to approach people simply because they are in a rural setting now and they're becoming more used to people and used to, let's say, house sounds. Don't by any means, if you know you have a coyote in your area, by no reason should you allow your dog to be out by itself, whether it's a small dog or whether it's, you know, a medium to large dog, because either the smaller the dog, that coyote is going to go after it thinking it's a prey, or if you have a large dog, they're going to possibly see it as a litter mate and attempt to come towards your dog also. So if you know you have them, please do not allow your dog to be out by itself.
Right.
And there's another reason for not allowing your cats to be out, because a coyote will go after a domestic house cat, and then unfortunately you're not going to have a good outcome with your cat.
Right. And that's great information to tell us about. Now, on a more positive note, Woodhaven has a new venture,
Yes,
and why don't you tell us about that?
We have a brand new dog park. It's called Woodhaven Dog Park, and it's in Civic Park on Hall Road. We just had the grand opening the beginning of the month. It's been very well publicized, but we are happy to say that the more the merrier. I mean, if you have a dog that is well behaved, that does well with people and other dogs, please think about coming to the park. You can purchase a tag, which is affixed to your dog's collar at all times that it's in the park. It's $25 for Woodhaven residents and it's $35 for non-residents. If you have an additional dog, it's an additional $5 per dog for you to bring your animals to the park. There are rules and regulations which you will read and sign, which is an agreement to follow all of these stipulations in order to participate with the dog park. You are given a key entry code in order to enter the dog park so that you know that everyone within that dog park has done the same thing that you've done. Mm-hmm. They have agreed to abide by the rules and the laws of the park, and it's just a fun day of exercise for you and your dog. They have water fountains, and they have fire hydrants and
Great.
benches to sit on, and it's just a good way to get all that pent-up energy out of your dog. You can take them off the leash and just let them run.
That's great. That's great. So one of the things that we discussed that we wanted to talk about, especially now that the summertime is here, is people who leave their dogs in hot cars. And this is a pet peeve of all animal lovers everywhere.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about the calls that you get on that and what can happen, and what actions you actually take.
It is a disaster waiting to happen. You have to think about you being in a car with a fur coat on, in the stifling heat, with no air, and think how long you might want to be in there. Most people look at their pets as if it's their babies. You have to have that mentality. You have to think, gee, I wouldn't leave my baby in my car. Why would I leave my dog in my car? Unfortunately, many people think they're doing right by the animal by taking them for a ride. Unfortunately, now that we're getting to summertime, people don't realize that there can be a 40-degree increase in the heat inside your car within 15 minutes.
That's huge.
You may think, oh, it's only 75 degrees out. But when you're in a car with no ventilation or very little ventilation, and let's say the sun is coming directly in, you haven't parked under a tree, or you're in the Meijer parking lot where there's no shade, that car is equivalent to the inside of an oven. And we have had, unfortunately, situations where dogs have actually expired in cars. It doesn't take long, especially when they're overheated. They're excited because they're in the car. Then their mom and dad have left them in the car, which makes them more excitable, which makes them pant and worry a little more. And we've had situations where we've gotten there too late. We get phone calls, from people that say, hey, there's a dog in a car. If we're on duty, we respond. We have a thermometer that we can stick in the car window, and we will determine whether or not we have the authorization to remove that animal. And if that animal is removed and we feel that that dog or cat is in danger, the owner can be cited for endangering an animal and neglect, and they will receive a citation.
Okay, and if the windows are closed, you said you have to call the
we will call the police department. Mm-hmm. They will use a Slim Jim, and they assist in, mm-hmm. they back us up all the way, because most of our police officers are very, very huge animal lovers, mm-hmm. and they don't want to see that happen either.
Right. And so, message to people that think it's a good idea, like you said, you
yay,
think you're taking your dogs a ride.
Yay, Pooch is going for a ride, and Pooch is in danger.
Yeah, and it's not a good idea. And for those people that do witness that, please call, whatever city you're in. Call the police department, call the animal control department, and let them know, because it is a dire situation, and nobody wants that to happen. So I want to thank you for talking to us and giving us all this great information. We are going to go back into the shelter, and we're going to look at some of the adoptable cats that you have.
That'd be great.
So we'll be right back with you guys in just a moment.
This is another situation that we have with wildlife. We unfortunately had a situation where the mom duck was killed by a car. We were able to salvage all of the babies, though. As you can see, they're growing up quickly. We have a wonderful foster that will be taking them once they are maybe 2 weeks old, and they will go on to live a wonderful life out in the wild just like their mom did. We have 8. They are approximately a week and a half old right now. They're doing well on duck food, and they have their own little pool set up, so we're just waiting for them to grow up and go on to be big, strong ducks.
Okay, we are back in the cat room, and we're seeing some of the cats that are available here for adoption. Some of them have been here for a little while, and some just came in recently. So, Officer Jensen, if you can tell us a little bit about some of the cats. This one right here, Jackie Chan, you said has been here for a little while.
Yes, Jackie Chan unfortunately has been here for a month or so. He's a wonderful cat. He is neutered. He's up to date on his shots. He's just as lovable as can be. We're really trying to find this good boy a home. He's getting to a point right now where, unfortunately, after cats are in a cage for a while, we call them cage crazy. They just are so unhappy, and they start to, tear up their beds, and, he'll get under his blanket and everything simply because he's just so unhappy. And he would do wonderful in a home.
Right. So, and as you can see, there is a variety of cats that are here, all different ages, all different colors, all different kinds of cats. So if you're looking for an animal, this is a great place to come. And we have, right here you have one of the little babies.
Yes, this is Ophi. Ophi is was a litter of 4. Everybody else has been adopted, and dirty face and all, she's the last one to look for a home. They were born on May 1st. We've had them since the day they were born. We bottle fed them, and now she's looking for her forever home too.
Okay, and about how old is she then?
She is about 6 weeks now.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you're looking for an animal, this is the place to come. We highly, highly suggest that if you want an animal, don't think about, going to a pet store or, a breeder. There's so many good animals that simply need a good home. Think about checking us out.
Yeah. So again, I wanted to thank you, Officer Jensen,
Thank
for
you.
talking to us today. And this is the Trenton Woodhaven Animal Shelter. You can come on down here and look at the cats they have for adoption, or if you are in need of assistance, contact Basil's Buddies, and this is where we run our food bank from. So again, I want to thank everybody for watching the Downriver Rescue Connection. We all look forward to a day when all pets are treated like family and everyone has a home. Until that time, we invite you to be part of the solution. And remember, please spay and neuter your animals. See you next time.